Am I audible?
Yes, yes. Yes, yes, you're audible, sir.
Okay, okay. Good morning, good morning.
Good morning. Sir, some 20 have already joined out of 28. So, if you permit, should we start?
Yes, sir, please, please.
Okay, sir. So, dear friends, today we are having Professor J.U. Ahmad with us for the first session, and he is going to talk on environmental issues and sustainable development in Indian context. Professor J.U. Ahmad is professor in the Department of Management in NEHU, Northeastern Hill University, and Tura campus. He has been head of the department twice. He joined NEHU in the year 2006. Before 2006, he was associated with many other institutions like Sikkim Manipal Institute of Technology, Institute of Science and Technology, Ranchi, Omchiang College, Shillong, MCD College, Silchar, and his area of interest is research methodology, financial management, principles of management, portfolio theory, business legislation, and many others. Uh, he is chairman of Campus Advisory Committee since 2012 for last 10 years. Big responsibility on him. He has been member of many academic committees. He has been chairing many of the committees. He is very active member in associations which are very frequently holding seminars and all. I think next seminar is in his campus only. He has so far produced more than 7 PhD scholars, including 2 from out of India, foreign listeners. He has completed more than 4 projects. He has authored more than 10 books. He has edited more than 15 books. He has written more than 60 papers in different journals, national and international journals. He has authored more than 30 plus book chapters. He has presented paper in more than 60. Sir, how do you get this much time for all this? Congratulations for this, for the very, very rich biodata. I know him as a person with a very friendly nature. He is a person, if he is in a committee, he will speak if he likes, he will speak if he dislikes. So whatever comes to his mind will always be on his lips. So congratulations for that, sir. Nowadays, people are leaving this kind of thing to express what they feel. So congratulations and welcome to the for fifth faculty induction program organized by our HRDC. Now Professor Manoj Verma also joined. He is coordinator of the course. I am co-coordinator. He is professor in the Department of Library Science.
Good morning, sir. Good morning.
And sir, as I told you last night, we are having academic council starting at 10:30. So both of us have to go there to attend the meeting. You understand?
No problem. No problem. You please go ahead.
Our HRDC staff will be there and they are very helpful and very technically strong. So if any help required, just call them and they will take care of.
No problem. It will be all right. It will be all right.
Yes. So sir, time is yours now. You can start. And dear friends, as I told, we have to go for academic council. I will keep on coming at times when new session is starting or ending. But if I am unable, so you have to bear with us. Our HRDC staff will be handling all this session today. Manojji, if you want to say anything, otherwise we start.
Yeah. So, dear participant, in middle some problem. No, as sir told, we will be not here. Already you have Mr. Soya number. He looking HRDC side. So you can message or you can also call him if middle some problem is there. Any participant support technical issue is there. So you can call and inform him. Okay.
Okay, so Professor J.U. Ahmadji, now time is yours. You may start.
Okay. Okay, thank you very much. My learned colleagues, Professor Bhartendu Singh and Professor Manoj Kumar Verma, and all the learned participants, I believe that they are our colleagues from the academics from various fields. At the very outset, I would like to thank the organizers for organizing such a good program for the young college faculty members in association with the Human Resource Development Center of Mizoram University. I feel and I believe that this type of program will really enhance the knowledge level of the teachers. Not only teachers, even I myself feel that I am a student of my field, and this type of interaction with the colleagues in academics will then enhance not only the participants thing, but also as a I mean lecturer delivering on this particular topic, whatever may be, as a person, we get enlightenment from them also. So I congratulate the Mizoram University in general and the HRDC and my colleagues, Professor Bhartendu Singh and Professor Verma, for organizing such a wonderful program. So without much delay, I will start my topic that was given to me, that environment and sustainable development. On this particular issue, I will try to speak. This is of course, during the various sessions on this particular faculty induction program, learned participants are hearing maybe from the various areas, multifaceted areas, topics delivered by many of the faculty members from this region, as well as from the outside this region, from various regions of the country. And of course, the candidates or the participants got knowledge, gathered knowledge from the various fields. I will just concentrate on this particular topic, that is the environment and sustainable development. As far as this sustainable development, all of we know that it is one of the very important area and a demand of the day, we can say, need of the day, to have the sustainable development perspective. Reason being that any development without sustainable development will not be long lasting. Therefore, the sustainable development is one of the future directions of economic evolution for any nation or for any region. There is no second thought on that particular issue. And the most importantly, in order to reduce the inter-region or intra-region developmental gap, the nations have to support with many of the initiative, like entrepreneurial initiative, skill development initiatives, the eco-preneurships, agri-entrepreneurship, all sort of whatever required for skill development, for enhancement of the economy, is required in order to reduce the inter-region or intra-regional gap, developmental gap, while we talk about the development. But at the same time, we have to do the developmental initiative not at the cost of the sustaining or a specific situation, or not at the cost of sustainable development. We cannot ignore that. So regional development can happen only when we respect and sustain and we sustain the specific situation of each region. Hence, the adoption of the practical strategies for sustainable development, driven by all sort of considering the natural vegetation, considering our natural resource availability, etc., driven by the ecological issues, agro-based, and coupled with including all data sciences, is the viable option for sustainable development, while we think the development in the light of environment or environmental issues. So as a matter of fact, sustainable or the survival of a knowledge economy that we are availing at present calls for continuous improvement and innovation of various products, various services, and processes. And that again, an increasing body of literature and the research outcome of the renowned researchers demonstrates that innovation leads to increased turnover, market share, and ultimately the gain for the society or profitability of the firm. So it is needed to find the innovation is needed to find a new solution for current issues for any sustainable organizations or societies and is crucial for sustainable development. So we can say that innovation is the heart of any developmental issues, developmental thing. Any specific innovation or improvement has a temporary value, but the sustainable value lies ability to improve in the long run, and it's sustained, it has a long-term effect. Therefore, sustainable organization has the capacity to be knowledge productive, to identify, gather, and infer relevant information, to use the information to develop new skills, and to apply these skills to improve fundamentally innovative operating procedures, products, and services. So we can say that sustainable development, particularly in the line of considering the environmental issues, is the sine qua non, very essential for the development of a nation, development of any particular region, economic growth of any particular region. Anything happen not unsustainable, but not considering the sustainable developmental aspect, will not be lasting in the long run. As far as the environment is concerned, all of we know that it refers to the natural setting in which we live, which is bestowed to us by our forefathers. It encompasses the interaction between biotic and abiotic components, like our living components, including our plants, animals, birds, biotic and abiotic like our land, air, water, etc., to coexist in the form of our whatever we have, the natural setting. The four major functions served by the environment are supply of resources, sustenance of life, providing aesthetic value, and assimilation of waste generated by various production and consumption activities are the major, environmental issues. And if we see the perspective of India, the factors like rapid growth of population, urbanization, industrialization, and poverty, among all others, are the major factors. I hope you people will agree with me, harming the environment. You see the urbanization process these days, just you imagine the number of vehicles moving in the road. In town area, perhaps you cannot take your vehicle for marketing and all because of the traffic jam and all sort of thing. Even in our place, West Garo Hills, the once deputy commissioner personally insisted the people having vehicle that not to bring vehicle in the marketing. Rather, he was insisting the people to work so that it will help the physical health of the people. It will improve the human body, etc. He was trying to understand in many other ways rather than just he wanted that so that the environment will be corrected, the pollution will be controlled, etc. So these are the important factors nowadays, that urbanization, industrialization, and poverty. among other factors for harming the environment. Due to poverty, people are taking woods from the forests. So these are the directly or indirectly associated with the major environmental issues, particularly in Indian context, in almost all the regions, and particularly the major city areas are facing the huge problem. You know that Delhi, the problem, environmental problems are very much significant. And these environmental issues prevalent in India are regarding the degrading of air quality index. If we look, we will find that we are not in a position, in a way, not in a better off. So this is a very important area, air quality. It has been, polluted like anything. Then environmental degradation in general, the loss of biodiversity, loss of resilience in our ecosystem, and the lack of our waste management, depletion of resources like land, air, water, etc., growing water scarcity, etc. So once the time may come, once time will come, it is obvious if we do not take the precaution in this respect, and if our policymakers or our rule framer are not having some sort of the protective measures so that our natural vegetation, our system, our environment will be taken care of, then it will cost very heavily in the near future. So there are many such issues which need to be addressed to maintain a sustainable environment so as to ensure our consistent economic development. See, unless we have consistent economic development, then our main motto of developmental agenda or sustainable development goal that we are following will not be succeeded. See, so unless we maintain a sustainable environment to ensure our consistent economic development, without sustainable development, economic development may happen, but then that development will not be in a way sustainable, will not be will be in a long run. Rather, it will have a short-term effect. Do not know what will happen when there will be a dearth of everything. One time will come. As a result, our generation will face huge problem in the coming days. So that realizing this, our nation, our government has taken various steps to safeguard the environment that all of you know, like Swachh Bharat mission, then green skill development program as a part of the environmental issues, or as a part of sustainable development, particularly considering the environmental factor. Then Compensatory Afforestation Fund Act was created. Then National Mission for Green India, National River Conservation Program, conservation of natural resources and ecosystem also is there. So many other strategies to safeguard the environment have been taken. This, whatever steps taken, calls for a concerted effort to build an inclusive, sustainable, and resilient ecosystem for the people and the planet. And the main features of the sustainable development is to increase the per capita income of the people. Main aspect, because sustainable development is just directly linked to the economic development. We cannot do anything at the cost of the damaging or destroying the environment. Thing will happen whether we do business, whether we do agriculture, whether we do anything relating to our mother's earth. We have to think about the sustainable development. We have to take some strategies so that we can take appropriate strategies to sustain in the future. We shall not think for us only, for today only. Rather, we have to think for tomorrow also. So the major aspect is here the per capita income, increase in per capita income, and the most importantly, a judicious use of our natural resources. We got more, so we consume more. That philosophy is incorrect. There shall not be a correlation or a balance between the environment and sustainable development in this respect. Rather, we have to act and we have to behave. We have to take precaution, particularly for use of judicious use of, sustainable natural resources and preserving the resources for the future generation is the most important factor in this respect. And in India, NITI Aayog, National Information for National Institution for Transforming India is, NITI Aayog, which we called as NITI Aayog, the newly formed commission that replaced the 65 years Planning Commission of India. And this NITI Aayog is entrusted mainly with the task of coordinating the sustainable development goal in India. And the NITI Aayog is the main body which job of this one sustainable development or sustainable development goal given to this particular Aayog. And accordingly, the Indian states, states of India are also advised to undertake similar mapping, including visioning, planning, budgeting, and developing implementation and monitoring systems for the state-sponsored schemes that are being fulfilled for the sustainable development goal. So the government, from the government side, despite all sort of limitations, concerted efforts have been made, particularly for sustainable development, particularly for considering all the aspects, not only environment, entrepreneurship, all the other major parameters of economic development has been considered and to be considered, considering the sustainable development aspect. In addition to this, our Ministry of Statistics and Program Implementation is engaged in the process of building key indicators to monitor the implementation of sustainable development. One ministry particularly, along with others, devoted particularly for this purpose. So they were engaged in the process of building the key indicators to monitor the sustainable development goal. While we talk about the sustainable development goal, ultimately, in the Indian context, sustainable development goal will be implemented or sustainable development will be considered in all the aspects, economic major parameters, while we consider the development that need to be taken care of. If one particular component is following that and not other, that way thing will not happen. So since 15, when the United Nations, along with the other countries, adopted the sustainable development goal, since 2015, the Indian government has launched several flagship programs, particularly in Indian context, and at the heart of, sustainable development goal. Like, for example, some of them I mentioned earlier, flagship, under the flagship program, we can say Skill India, Make in India, Digital India, all sort of, strategies have been taken. So we can say that particularly while we talk about the environment and sustainable development, there are issues regarding the environmental changes. Because environment, while we talk about the environment, we cannot think of always that it is a constant factor. It is not rigid. Rather, our environment is flexible. And that flexibility, in order to avail this flexibility, and in order to, in the face of the global environmental change that is happening, and its emerging challenges and all the unknowns and all the odds. Considering this, it is essential to have access the best available information and knowledge when sincere when science and technology contribute significantly in understanding the earth systems, social systems, and their interaction. There is growing awareness that scientific knowledge, along with inadequate, just along with scientific knowledge alone is inadequate without considering other aspects for solving the emerging environmental crisis. And only science, without considering the other aspect like arts, technology, and all, thing will not be in a right track. In this respect, the knowledge of indigenous people is very vital and local communities. We are talking about for sustainable development, the contribution made by the knowledge that we gain from the indigenous people from the various tribes of our nation, of our great nation, and the local communities often referred to as local developing effective, meaningful action worldwide. Because this is very much crucial. Indigenous people, am I audible? Anyone can tell, anyone can respond. From HRDC, my voice is clear. Can anyone tell? Any participants can respond or not? No.
Sir, Ahmadji, they are not
Yeah,
having
yeah.
access to audio. So they can be putting question in chat box.
Okay, okay. So am I audible?
Yes, you're audible.
Yeah, because since I was talking, so I thought that whether people are hearing or not, that's why I did.
No,
Anyway, then
good.
it's okay. It's okay.
Okay.
It's okay. Thank you. Thank you. So we are talking about the indigenous knowledge and indigenous system of doing the thing is the major or one of the very important variable by which we can have this sustainable development or we can solve many of the environmental hazards that we are facing these days. So indigenous knowledge is already seen, therefore, as a very important, in fact, a sine qua non, we can say, in the fields such as agroforestry, because Mizoram University, where Mizoram is the place where the lots of opportunities are there, biodiversity conservation. Here in Meghalaya also, natural resource management, traditional medicines, and sustainable development. Now, indigenous communities are being increasingly recognized as important source of knowledge for climate change assessment and for adaptation. And in this respect, many international agencies already recognized that the important contribution made by indigenous people to the conservation and sustainable use of biodiversity, as well as their relevance for social well-being and sustainable livelihoods. These days, you see many of the places, many steps are taken at the village level, grassroots level, that how the people can be lifted, how the livelihood of the people can be enhanced. Even very recently, 7 8 days back, we visited in a village here to provide them some of the seeds, the system of their all the horticultural activities, how to do. I was accompanying with a committee, and that type of thing, in a way, not only will provide the livelihood, but it really contribute for their sustainable development and for the development of the for the correction of our environment in many ways. Coming to the sustainability and environment, particularly while we see the basic connotation in this respect, the phenomenon of environment and sustainable development can better understand with the while we see the sustainability, means hold up and mainly used for human sustainability on planet Earth, and its recognition and usage of this word comes from the definition of sustainable development, which was formulated by the Brundtland's Commission of the United States in 1987. And that time onward, it was defined that a development that meets the needs of the present without compromising the needs of our future generation to meet their own needs. Again, in 2005, the World Summit on Social Development identified economic development, social development, environmental protection as sustainable development goal as per United Nations General Assembly. And it is to be noted that sustainability implies the dynamic balance between the three major components. One is environment, two, human social welfare, and three is economic activities. These are the three major components: environment, human social welfare or social welfare, and the economic activities. These components form three pillars of sustainability, which are interdependent and reinforcing. These three pillars are very important because we cannot be one-sided. We cannot look only the environmental aspect. We cannot look only social welfare of the people, ignoring the environment. Again, we cannot ignore the economic activities while giving preference to environment and social welfare. I mean, we cannot say that one is in the place, others are null and void. That philosophy we do not maintain. Presence of all this is required for evolving a sustainable development, which was the main concept for saving or taking care of for the future generation. And at the same time, if we see economic development ignoring all others, many of the countries are facing the problem at present because of giving more preference on economic development rather than not because of non-consideration of environmental aspects. And because of that, they are facing the huge problem of this one, developmental issues. Because any development happen, any growth happen, without sustainable development is not long-lasting. It will not be long-lasting. It will affect and it will destroy. At one point of time, it will destroy the economy. It will destroy our system in such a way that we will not be in a position to revive the economy. We will not be in a position to revive our system. It has a serious, my dear friends, it has a serious impact on the society. So I'm talking about the three important aspects, and this three important aspect is in this literature or in this particular link to it, while we linking with the sustainable development goal, is known as triple bottom line. So this triple bottom line is built by many of the theorists, many of the good researcher who are working on developmental aspect, who are working on the aspects of economic growth, who are working on the aspects of environment, entrepreneurship, skill development. So this triple bottom line idea is gained wide recognition and support since 1990. And many businesses, companies, organizations already adopted the principles of triple bottom line. What I wanted to say is that whether I make you clear or not, I do not know. That simple bottom line, unless this is the main theory, main understanding on this subject is that unless we consider all the three important components while considering the sustainable development in any phenomena, let it be in small variable, small region, large region, a country perspective, state's perspective, or any perspective, world's perspective, whatever it may be. This concept is very important. We need to consider, look the environment, we need to look the social welfare, we need to look the economic development. Only economic development, I may acquire more growth within a given period of time, will not be long lasting, will not be sustainable. Therefore, we need to take care of, we need to, look the thing in a greater perspective. Just 1 minute. Pushpa, please give me a glass of water. एक कप चाय दो और पानी दो, चाय दो. पुष्पा, प्लीज है, आई विल लेक्चर. अच्छा, थोड़ा गर्म पानी दो, मेरा कुछ कफ हो रहा है. ठीक है, गर्म पानी. So what I am talking is that the many business, I'm so sorry, I just went somewhere for a water. Many businesses, companies and organizations adopted the institutions, thank you very much. Institutions adopted the principles of triple bottom line in their respective operations, respective businesses, respective firms, whatever it may be. Nonetheless, unfortunately, the production and consumption pattern of the world in the present context, in general, remain unsustainable. And the scale and nature of human and economic activities exceed what the planet can physically sustain. As per World Resource Institution. See, I have a practical experience. Not only, I'm talking about not only production and consumption pattern of the world, unfortunately, in general, remain unsustainable. Not only that, this one is the UN report. As per UN report, I'm talking about. And the scale and nature of human and economic activities exceed what the planet can physically sustain. These are the comments as per the research outcome, as per the world level report, particularly working on sustainable development and sustainable development. I got surprised while I was talking with a vice chancellor 2 years back in one university. He was talking in an international conference that there is no sustainable development. Sustainable development is not at all required as per his version. And he told in his lecture also that you have to manage the thing. You know the way how you will manage. And he was delivering openly, telling that there is no sustainable development. Telling that anything can happen, the way you can do, this is up to you only. No need of considering sustainable development. Later on, I was sitting in a general discussion after the program get over. And I told him, my dear sir, you shall understand that without sustainable development, forget about business. You cannot manage your family also. And you cannot manage everything. Then I have given him example. In a particular day, by offering wine, you can bring the confidence of the people. दारू पिला के आदमी को you can take in your confidence, but this is for short run. This is not for long run. This will not last more. These people will be scolding you after a few days when they will come in the normal mind, when they will be okay. After they get disturbed, after they get damaged, after they get, addicted, they will not understand anything. But the moment they will be okay, they will be scolding the person, and you will be the first person getting their scolding. So So then he understood everything, and I discussed many things. This is just my practical experience. So with what I am telling is that it is applicable everywhere and anywhere. Without this, we cannot expect any development, anything in the society to be sustained, in order to sustain for us as well as for the future generation. And while we talk about the sustainability, one single method, as I discussed earlier, that this one, a triple bottom line, is not sufficient to measure the sustainability understanding or sustainability concept as environmental impact or social welfare. Therefore, circle of sustainability, we need to understand which is an alternative, which is an option, rather than considering, as I am telling, that environment, welfare, and economic development means triple bottom line approach. So circle of sustainability is a alternative to the triple bottom line. And the most known one, this method, I mean circle of sustainability, is most known one before the environmental scientists, before the people, before the academician and researchers, whoever working on that. It is a method of understanding and assessing sustainability and for managing projects directed towards socially sustainable outcomes. And this method has a 4-domain model rather than triple bottom line model. And this 4-domain model consider economics, ecology or economic development, ecological aspect, political aspect, and cultural aspect of the people, cultural aspects of various indigenous group of people. And this 4-domain is the more authentic in economics, for example, or economic developmental aspect. In this 4 important aspect, production and resourcing, exchange and transfer, accounting and regulation, labor welfare, etc., all the components to be considered for sustainable development in the economic side. In the ecology side, materials, water and air, flora and fauna, habitat and land, place, all these things to be considered, because what I am telling is that we cannot give a concrete definition or concrete understanding or concrete modus operandi of the, I mean, sustainable development or environment. It depends. It is variable. It is not, I mean, fixed, rigid, because we are considering we have various regions, we have indigenous tribes, we have indigenous system of doing the thing. In politics, I will not talk the political organization, political system, ethics, accountability, all these things to be considered, and the cultural aspect like engagement and identity, performance, creativity, all sort of things, memory and protection, belief system of the people, gender and reproduction system, everything to be respected for sustainable development and need to be considered as a circle of sustainability. And this triple bottom line was a generic concept in general while considering the economy only. But circle of sustainability, we consider or cover a broader aspect of dealing with this situation or addressing with this situation. Looking from the entrepreneurial perspective, because it is business or it is entrepreneurship development, it is entrepreneurship which is destroying the many of the thing, many of the establishment, many of the our natural system because of the disturbances of the business, industry, and commerce and entrepreneurship. In this respect, the early works of Schumpeter in 1942 witnessed that innovation is the creative art of combining existing resources in a profitable ways, and the entrepreneurship is able to change the status quo and the market through the process of creative destruction. Creative destruction, this is very important because economic growth is built by creating entrepreneurial opportunities. In continuation with my earlier discussion, see, while we talk about the economic development, we normally understand the skill, entrepreneurship development, all these things, the manufacturing activities and all. But since the process of creative destruction is involved, as observed by Schumpeter, economic growth is built by creating the entrepreneurial opportunities. There is no doubt about it in all spheres of economic activity. And then, but the question of entrepreneurship development, while we have to handle the issues of creative destruction. And then subsequently, Kirchner, another economist in 1973, indicated the alertness to identify new opportunities is more important requirement for entrepreneurship than innovation, meaning the entrepreneurial opportunity is discovered rather than created. And the environmental entrepreneurship. So we can say that the environmental entrepreneurship aspect or sustainable entrepreneurial aspect is the answer here. And the process, how we can acquire, how we can, evolve, it is the process of discovering, evaluating, and exploiting economic opportunities that are present in environmentally relevant market failures. And the environmental entrepreneurs is called again green entrepreneurs. So this is the main crux of this issue, is that while we talk about the entrepreneurship in the line of the environment, the thing is that the concept is very much related with the green entrepreneurship or eco-entrepreneurship. The core of the concept is formed by, again, the double bottom line while we talk about the entrepreneurship aspect. And this double bottom line normally speaks about the environmental responsibility and profitable opportunities. Environmental responsibility, ignoring the environmental responsibility, any entrepreneurial venture having or acquiring a huge amount of profit is a nonsense activity. It will not be long lasting. It will not be sustainable. Similar to social entrepreneurship, environmental entrepreneurship is a mission driven activity for correcting the positive, for tackling the externalities or deterrent on that particular aspect. And a positive way of doing the thing is evolving with some of the social, in the line of green entrepreneurship, social entrepreneurship, eco-entrepreneurship, agri-entrepreneurship. So therefore, we can say that it becomes a social endeavor. This particular entrepreneurship question is a social endeavor when it transforms social capital in a way that affects our society positively. In social entrepreneurship, entrepreneurs play the role of change agents in the social sector by adopting a mission to create and sustain social value. Recognizing and pursuing new opportunities serve that mission, engaging in a process of continuous innovation and exhibiting heightened accountability to the outcomes or to link with the outcome of that particular phenomena. While we talk about the continuous innovation and existing heightened is the answer, and the social mission becomes the focus of entrepreneurial activities in social entrepreneurship. So if social mission, if social entrepreneurship is taken care of, the social mission objective if society, then ultimately, while we look into the society, we will certainly consider all the environmental issues that are prevailing in the present society. Coming to the computational sciences, as I mentioned at the beginning of my talk, that is again a very important area for environment and sustainable development. See, data sciences and analytics have a key role to play for achieving sustainable development. You cannot imagine, we normally feel that data science, how the data science and computational science will be applied to the sustainable issues or sustainable development issues and environment. If we have this understanding, we are wrong. Our notion is incorrect. Rather, we need to take care of that particular aspect. See, the data sciences can be leveraged to enable sustainable development, particularly the managing impact, managing resources, tackling the climate change, and many more. See, they are not directly contributing to the social entrepreneurship or environmental issues. Rather, they leveraged. How they leveraged, you see, the investors can use data science to help choose more sustainable companies. They use only data science or computational science to understand that which company will be sustainable. Today, you are investing huge money, purchasing the shares of the company, and you are purchasing from any and every company may not be sustainable, because you do not know the company which is sustainable, and that sustainable issue can be catched by the data science or by the computational sciences can give you the exact exact line of your thinking and exact strategy that which company to be considered before investing. They can move funds away from the polluters and towards socially and environmentally responsible companies that adhere the best practices in the present context. And the data science can help lower income countries and emerging economies build data systems that contain information about households, occupations, wages, etc. So this data can further be used to inform the policy decision and target the investment and budgets optimally and increase a country's economic growth and GDP, etc. For example, satellite imagery can be used to collect the data related to poverty and hunger reduction, we all know, where the data includes images of densely populated human colonies, absence of water resources, barren lands, etc. So this, when data includes these images, this indicates that this is a very suitable technique by which the computational science can solve many of our environmental things in order to take appropriate strategies, Through data science and analytics, it is now possible to estimate your crop yield based on weather condition, patterns, and crop growth, etc. It is very possible to forecast all this with this. A number of people can easily be identified, and the government or authorities can take necessary steps, actions to mitigate risks effectively. So data science can help create more sustainable energy. For example, let me give one example that how data science can help to create more sustainable energy in the present context. You see, in smart grids, through dynamic energy management, data science can be used for production planning and forecasting. Now, computational sciences or computational, we can say sustainability, let me use the word, the researchers have advanced the technique to contest the biodiversity injury facing the world during the present context. That the computational scientist or computational science normally take care of all this, the biodiversity threat that happened due to the present excessive or irrelevant or unfeasible use of the resources that has to be taken care of. And the researchers have created computational methods for mapping the distribution, migration pattern, wildlife corridors of species, which enable scientists to quantify conservation efforts and recommend the effective policies. In addition to this scientific contribution, the computational science or computational sustainability community has also contributed technologies that support citizen science conservation initiative. An example is creation of eBird, for example. Say, eBird, creation of eBird, which enables citizen to share sightings of birds and crowdsource the creation of a global bird distribution database for researchers. An example of successful application of eBird database in the Nature's Conservancy Bird Return Program, where the farmers are compensated for their efforts of maintaining suitable habitats for birds during migratory periods. So this computational science or data sciences can provide very important information, or in other words, we can say it leveraged the entire process of environmental issues and the sustainability issues that we will be facing in the coming days. Now, as far as the sustainable development is concerned, it is a very, very important area of research and area to be focused in the present context. It implies the renewable sustainable development implies that the renewable resources should also be used wherever possible, and non-renewable resources should be husbanded to extend their viability for generations to come, for the future generation. So the trade-off or proper taking care of the renewable or non-renewable resources is the root cause, is the crux of this entire thing. Even the non-renewable resources should be husbanded to extend their viability for generations to come, our coming generation. And this intergenerational aspect of sustainable development suggests a confluence of diverse social, environmental, and economic objectives and raises a number of vital questions. How do we meditate the material needs of the present against those of the for the future? How do we balance the environmental protection with poverty itself? It's a great concern. But of course, we need to look the intergenerational aspect of sustainable development is a must. We cannot see only the sustainable development and all. Concept is little bit spiritual. The wider we need to understand the crux or spirituality of that particular concept. As a matter of fact, sustainable development seeks to place social and environmental objectives on equal footing with economic objective. Therefore, environment and economy are primarily conceptualized as separate and competing realms, with earnest scholars speaking of trade-offs between the competing objectives of growth and resource degradation. Whenever we will have a trade-off or handling properly between these two, the conflicting point of between these two, economic objective and resource degradation, then our maximum of our problem will be solved, particularly in the line of developmental aspect, to the extent that these two distinct domains could be reconciled, and it was through the elaborate pricing of previously unpriced value via elaborate cost-benefit analysis or by providing procedural protection via regulation. Therefore, sustainable development, on the other hand, implies the societies could somehow have their requirements of basic and the opportunities to develop in ways consistent with all the three important pillars: social, environmental, and economic. The assumptions grew out of desire to promote equitable distribution of the benefits of economic growth. The desire emerged from the realization that resources were growingly insufficient to allow the so-called developing world to develop along with the same line as in the first world. So given the current resource use patterns, the degree of development would demand the resources of an additional planet Earth, assuming that technological advances proceeded rapidly. Eventually, this means that pace of economic growth must be reduced dramatically, something that modern industrial economies appear to be unable or unwilling to do. So something that developing economies observes as even more unattractive. So due to this contradiction, that some countries, even though they are not ready to compromise their economic growth, or the modern industrial economies, they are not really willing, and the developing nation even feel that compromising that development issue, economic development issue, is unattractive. So due to this contradiction, sustainability is fundamentally at odds with the prevailing model of capitalism and its emphasis on unbridled growth. Therefore, sustainable development emerges as a prominent, and we can say it's a controversial due to this growth issue notion for business and productivity. However, the fact remains, my dear friends, that the growing awareness and the fundamental transformation in the way society consumes natural resources and produces energy may be needed if we are to make progress in pressing environment such as ecosystem degradation, pollution, and global climate change. And in this context, the entrepreneurship, particularly ecopreneurship, agripreneurship, and initiatives of computational sciences is increasingly being cited as a significant conduit for bringing about transformation to sustainable products and processes. And the contemporary empirical research finding also evidence that sound dire warnings of environmental disaster often end on an optimistic note, concluding that civilization's salvation rests upon the shoulders of notable social and environmental entrepreneurs. And the influential research practitioners and prominent works in this field advance the idea that free enterprise based on organic component may be a panacea for many of the social and environmental concerns. This is the crux of the entire, this presentation. See, the influential research practitioners and scholars and the prominent works, particularly in this literature, advance this knowledge that free enterprise based on organic component may be the main thing or main solution for any of the social and environmental concern that our world, mother's world, are facing today. So, linking the business perspective, we have the controversies surrounding on this particular concept discussed. The sustainable development has emerged as an increasingly influential concept in not only in business, not only in agriculture, not only in this, that, X, Y, Z, blah, 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 but it is very important for the managerial and academic setting. It becomes a mainstream of corporate strategy, and most firms have the explicit public sustainability policy statements and claim to apply a triple bottom line that considers a firm's financial, environmental, and social performance. Thank you. गौरव ना अच्छा थोड़ा खुला थोड़ा सर्दी आ गया बुखार आ गया So most firms now have explicit public sustainability policy and can apply the triple bottom line that considers firms' financial, environmental, and social performance. The majority of corporate sustainability literature has been focused on how established firms can reduce the environmental impacts and how sustainable development affects competitive advantage. And the few scholars have explored that sustainable development from an entrepreneurial orientation. A number of recent works has evoked the Schumpeter's concepts of creative destruction, which I mentioned earlier, arguing that new sustainability pressure, I mean sustainable development goal and etc., create various types of market failure, opening up opportunities for new entrants. And these scholars identify that the business enterprises as a means by which market failures such as environmental and social disruptions can be ameliorated. And this follows a robust economic literature that promotes entrepreneurship as a means of resolving market failure. Indeed, the agri-economic literature offers considerable insights into how sustainable development be achieved. Even the eco-entrepreneurship or ecopreneurship, also the researcher on this particular field also entered into the insight of the subject regarding the sustainable developmental issues and for this promotes, or this type of works promotes normally to resolve the market failures, what was observed by earlier during 45, 46 or 50, that creative destruction. So it will resolve this type of present researcher particularly is of the opinion that it is a means rather than telling that it is a cause for resolving the market failures and correcting the negative externalities in this respect. But the term also can be used as in many disconnected sense or disconnected concepts without a theoretical citation, and highlights the ambiguous use of terminology in this field, and which may be variously described as sustainable development or environmental development or ecopreneurship or green entrepreneurship. So indeed, the majority of the works, particularly on the issue of sustainable development and the environment, came from the scholars with a stronger orientation towards sustainable development rather the economic development, only considering the economic development aspect or entrepreneurship developmental aspect. As can be expected from emerging area, so the dynamic, there has been a dynamic change in the sustainable development and environment all over the world. The mindset of the people have been changed, and people understood that the researcher or the policymakers in and around the globe had the strategies and in line with the sustainable development working on that particular issue. And at present, the concept is related in both business and non-business background and in almost all the spheres of the human activity. So to say that in order to support sustainable development, all the facets of initiatives have been changing over time. So the major thrust area is the rural entrepreneurship, tourism activities, agripreneurship, social entrepreneurship, ecopreneurship, etc. Prominent uh, changing facets of paradox in the recent times, in line with the environment, or particularly for handling the issue of entrepreneurship and this one environment, entrepreneurship, and sustainable development. Unless we have this particular, uh, we think about this particular direction regarding the developmental issues, all the developmental issues, developmental perspective need to be aligned with the sustainable development, because these are the major, this sustainable development issue is the crux of all the developmental uh, thing or developmental issues. Unless we consider the sustainable development, our future generation, environment and sustainable development, our future generation will face huge amount of problem. We have to reserve for the future. We shall not think for today only. And in this respect, our indigenous system of doing the thing, as I mentioned earlier, is doing a lot for correcting all the negative externalities, for giving the positive shape, particularly in this respect. You see, our indigenous tribes are doing their own way of everything. I mean, right from the agricultural activities to non-agricultural activities, medicine, all these things. If you think that we normally prefer to take the English medicine very much. But then if you go and to the villages, respective villages, maybe tribal villages or plain villages, indigenous system of medicine works more and long lasting for sustainable development, because this indigenous medicine will not create your other diseases in the body. Normally, English medicine, they work for one disease, but create 100 type of disease in the human body as we grow in our ages. But then indigenous system normally they solve the problem in the root. So the sustainability or stability is just for example. Indigenous system of doing the thing nowadays recognizing more, not only in the our national level, even the international agencies and our government side also, to promote and to have a genuine development of the indigenous system of doing the thing, is offering various scheme, giving various sort of subsidy, all these things, helping seeds, all these things are provided by the authority, which is a step really, I believe, in the right way direction. And in the context of our India, our honorable Prime Minister, under the leadership of Sri Narendra Modi ji, they were trying hard with many of the strategies that I discussed, such Bharat Abhijan, this Skill India, Make in India, Digital India, many more, Atmanirbhar Bharat and all. See, Atmanirbhar Bharat is one of the very great strategy taken by the government of India. I cannot discuss all the components, all the parameters here. You see, Atmanirbhar Bharat, self-reliant. The concept was there even from earlier, during Mahatma Gandhi's time, it was started. I admit the fact with you. But then the concept of Atmanirbhar Bharat that presently going on and dealing is much different from the earlier, because days have been changed. Now, unless we are self-reliant in all the major components, all the major sectors, economic parameters, like our agricultural resources, like our natural resources, like our the various other products, right from security to all this, we need to be self-reliant. Unless we are self-reliant, our mission for sustainable development, if we are based for something to others, then ultimately we will not be self-reliant. And if self-reliant don't come, then the mission for sustainable development will not happen. But at the same time, government also very much careful that we shall not do our self-reliant or our environmental issues and sustainable development at the cost of the environment. Economic development may increase in a way, I mean, much faster than that of the present, if we could sacrifice many of the issues, environmental issues. But then it will be very bad. We may survive for 10 years, 15 years so nicely, but after that, what will happen? Therefore, there shall be a balance. The way we maintain the balance in all the spheres of life, in teaching learning also, my dear colleagues, we normally follow the work-life balance and all. Sometimes we get pressured, sometimes not. But then we maintain some sort of pressure and how to manage our stress level and all that we work on. So like this, we have to think not one way, rather we have to think in a multifaceted way. We have to think others' benefit also. We shall not think about myself only, because this one selfish attitude is not good, not only for yourself, not your ourself or our family or our business, our work, whatever we do. Let us be open. Let us try to get along with all the people, all the animals, all the things are there in the resources are there in the world. Let us not be isolated. So with this, I will not prolong. Now, I would like to conclude my, I mean, this discussion on this particular issue here only the environment and sustainable development. And I am very much thankful to the organizers for giving me this opportunity to talk on this particular issue of environment and sustainable development. I tried my best in spite of my busy schedule, and I am also grateful and very much thankful to the HRDC Mizoram University for giving me this opportunity to interact with the participants. Also, I extend my thankfulness to all the participants joining from various parts for their patience hearing on this particular subject. So with this, I conclude, and I would like to uh, request the participants for their question. Where is the chat box? Any question or any query or any comment, particularly on this subject? Which organizers are not there. Hello. Mm, yeah, I will take 11:30. My one session will over. I think nobody there no more question. Actually, participants cannot speak anything. That is the problem. From HRDC, from no, what to do? In the chat box, participants, I think organizers are not there. Please, you give your some of the things, some of the query or this thing in the chat box. I am very sorry that you people cannot interact. You are not, you cannot talk. I think system is like this, that you will give the your query or questions in the box. Even I do not know the participants also in the online system is very much otherwise because we cannot see each other and we do not listen the others, just one way deliberation, because we also learn you people while we delivering before the college teachers or before the members of the faculty. Unless we listen each other, very difficult. So I request everyone, you give your valuable question or any query, particularly on this subject. Professor Bhartendu, I think. Professor Singh.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Yes, so I am no question. I think I finished.
Okay, okay. Okay, so right time I joined. Yeah,
Yeah.
in chat, no questions are there.
Why
So thank you, sir.
they like me very much, or what? They are not asking any question or any query. Whatever I am telling doesn't mean that everything is very good, very good like this.
Maybe your presentation is very clear, crystal clear. So, dear participants, if you are having any question, just put up for Professor Ahmad. No question coming, sir.
Participants are from which area?
From different universities, sir. Many from Assam, some from Manipur, some from one is from Nagaland, 3, 4 from West Bengal, 4 are from UP, Tamil Nadu, Kerala, all is spread.
I'm seeing some of them. It seems no Shilchar also, I believe, na. Yeah. Anyway, we will talk with them sometime after a couple of days. Maybe some this one offline anywhere. We will talk.
Okay. Okay, sir. So if no questions are coming, we may finish end this session here. So on behalf of all the participants and on behalf of HRDC and on behalf of my own behalf, I would like to say thanks to you for sparing your time. Although you are having a very busy schedule, but still you spared some time for us. So thank you, sir. And I hope in the near future again in some other program we will be calling you, sir. Thank you, sir.
Thank you very much, Professor
Thank you.
Bhartendu for giving me this opportunity to interact with the participants, and I also extend my thankfulness to all the participants, those who present in this session, and for their patience hearing of my this deliberation. So thank you very much. We will keep
Okay.
touch.